Join us as 5 celebrity chefs face 5 Chinese grand masters
I think it's exciting. I'm always up for a challenge.
Good.
of the ancient Chinese culinary arts, each representing one of the 5 regions of Chinese cuisine: Shandong, Huiyang, Northeastern, Sichuan, Cantonese. Can the best chefs of the West match the Eastern masters at their own craft?
And what are these? Wow.
No forks, no knives. This is Chopsticks Only.
In today's challenge,
I think it's going to be very interesting.
Executive Chef Ben Pollinger will experience the freshness of Cantonese cuisine.
That's going to be the challenge, to find out how to apply that flavor to what I do.
Will technical knowledge and courage be enough?
When I'm experimenting with food, I go with my passion. I go in a bold direction.
Let's watch.
Chopsticks Only, the best of Chinese cuisine.
And now let's welcome Chef Ben. Hey Ben, how are you?
Great to be back in your show.
Now Chef Ben, when I mention Chinese food, what is in your mind?
The first thing is the diversity, diversity of ingredients and cooking styles, from salty and spicy to fresh and crisp, from seafood to meat, just the diversity of the country.
Absolutely. Chinese cuisine is very diverse. The 5 main categories are Sichuan, Shandong, Cantonese, Huaiyang, and Northeastern Chinese cuisine. And today we will cook Cantonese cuisine with you.
Excellent.
And I think this will fit you perfectly because I know that you love to use seasonal ingredients, right?
I do, that and the fresh ingredients, and a lot of my background is in Mediterranean cooking and seafood, of course, here at Oceana. So I think that the focus on Cantonese cuisine with seafood and fresh vegetables really pairs well with my background.
Fantastic. Now we should take a closer look at your background.
By the time I graduated college, I realized cooking was my passion, so I decided to cook and go on to go to cooking school. I spent 1 year cooking at a restaurant called Louis XV in Monte Carlo in Monaco. Came back to New York and I worked in some French restaurants. After that, I worked in another restaurant called Tabla, where we did New Indian cuisine. Moved on to Union Square Cafe, and then moved on to Oceana about 5 years ago as the executive chef. You know, and what I really am looking for is myself and my cooks, when we cook, to really become one with the food, one with what we're doing. When I'm experimenting with food and cooking, I really generally just go with my passion. I go in a bold direction.
The concept of harmony is an important standard in traditional Chinese culinary art, and we will come back to this saying again later. In the meantime, let's take a look at the Chinese chef's background.
在广州做过3家。
I worked for 3 restaurants in Guangzhou and about 7 restaurants in Shenzhen. Cantonese cuisine is prepared according to the seasons. For example, in spring and summer, we prepare dishes lightly flavored, while in autumn and winter, the dishes are heavily flavored. Cantonese cuisine is also cooked according to each ingredient. For example, the vegetables, if overcooked, the nutrition will be lost. Another example, for making soup, if the cooking time is not long enough, the nutrition won't come out. Our restaurant has been in Chinatown for more than 20 years, and I've worked here for 14 years. Many Westerners are dining here, and they like the food here very much, so they come back very often.
And here we are in the elegant and beautiful Oceana. And I'm so lucky to have both of you here on my show today. But before trying out today's dishes, I think now is a good time to take a look at Cantonese cuisine.
Light but not tasteless, fresh but not vulgar, tender but not raw, moist but not greasy. This is the taste of traditional Cantonese food. Canton, or Guangdong Province, has been a major trading port since the Ming Dynasty in the 14th century AD. The subtropical climate and year-round availability of meat, fish, and produce led to a fetish of freshness and exotic ingredients. Another feature of Cantonese cuisine is complicated recipes with many steps. But the seasoning is generally light and never overpowers the fresh, natural taste of the food itself. Dried and preserved ingredients, however, are often used along with fresh meats and vegetables to add a depth of flavor. Traditional Cantonese dishes include steamed grouper, beef with oyster sauce, and red braised sea cucumbers.
Chef Liu, I have a question for you. You mentioned that you think keeping the tradition of traditional Chinese culinary culture is very important. Why is that?
Yes, because we are Chinese, and we have thousands of years of history in many aspects, especially the culinary culture. Chinese people enjoy cooking very much. In particular, the Cantonese people. They cook according to the seasons. So we chefs need to be always innovative while preserving traditional culture.
That's very true. With such a long history and profound culture, 5,000 years of history, of course we should keep this tradition. Now, Chef Ben, I know that you always find traditional Chinese culture to be very inspiring. So what do you think about Cantonese cuisine?
I like the use of the fresh ingredients, the fresh vegetables, the bolder flavors with the heavy use of ginger, the soy sauce, and of course here, myself being a seafood chef, I love how Cantonese cuisine focuses on seafood.
Okay, so will you be able to face today's challenge? We are about to see it right now. One of these chopsticks will decide which one will be today's challenge. Now let's reveal the dishes. Wow! And what are these?
Looks like sauteed fish fillet with peppers and onions. This looks like sauteed beef fillet with ginger and scallions.
You're really good. I mean, I can't even tell that this is ginger. It looks so beautiful.
Yeah, it's a very interesting cut, very pretty.
Now, Chef Liu, from my understanding that these dishes are really, really popular homemade dishes. Am I right?
These two dishes are quite common and traditional. Every Cantonese family can cook them. About 98% of them can.
Wow, they must be really good cooks everywhere.
I think so.
Now, you understand that Cantonese cuisine they use a lot of seasonal ingredients, right?
Right.
So do these ingredients look very familiar to you?
Yes, I've seen most of them before. We've got obviously the fish, the peppers, the onions, and I think we've got fermented black beans in there as well. That's one ingredient that's a little bit new to me. And then with the beef dish, of course I've seen the scallions and the ginger before.
Let's try this one first. This is number one.
Delicious. Very fresh and bright.
I love that. 真的很好吃. Really good.
There is a taste of fish, tasty, with a taste of fermented black beans.
So what do you find a little bit different than what you usually cook?
I think the fermented black beans, we use all kinds of beans in the kitchen here, but the fermented black beans have such a different flavor, a real earthy, deep flavor. The fermentation of the beans does something to it. That's going to be the challenge, to find out how to apply that flavor to what I do.
Okay, let's try the beef too.
I think it's really nice. The ginger gives it almost a spiciness. It's really interesting.
It brings out a lot of flavors in the beef, right?
Yes, got a little bit of sweetness too.
Do you find that to be difficult?
No, I think that would probably be a little bit simpler to try to be inspired by. Chef Liu, the presentation is very beautiful, and I think the cut on the ginger is very interesting. What shape is that, and why do you cut the ginger like that?
The ginger was cut in two ways. One is the Chinese character shou, longevity, as Chinese people like longevity. The other is the autumn leaf. The one kind that is very beautiful.
Excellent. Thank you.
Now let's have the drawing. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Which one?
I think I'll take this one.
What is it?
Number one.
Ooh, it's that one.
It is.
Any comment?
I think it's going to be very interesting. Yes.
Now we're gonna let you go, and I'll see you in a bit.
All right. Thank you.
Chef Liu, I saw when you cooked this dish, you were super fast. How did you do that?
Heat control is one of the most important aspects of Cantonese cuisine. It is as important as ingredients. Heat control is important, especially in cooking a fish fillet. If it is heated too long, the fish will become overdone. If the heat is not adequate, the fish will be undercooked. Although every family cooks fish fillet, a good result depends on good control of the heat.
All right, that's very true. And in the meantime, I think we should learn a little bit more about the Saute beef. What are the ingredients in here? And how is it made?
Once you choose the right beef, you slice it against the grain. So the cooked beef will be easy to chew. You marinate the beef slices a bit, then heat up the wok and pour in oil. Heat it to around 180 degrees Celsius. Then put the beef in. Cook till it's nearly done and take it out. Put in ginger and spring onion and stir fry a bit. Then put the beef back in. Pour in the sauce and stir fry with a touch of cornstarch. When finished, dish it out and you're done.
Yes, I totally understand that. It took about 30 seconds and that's it. Now I have a question. When you cook this dish right here, you add so much oil in there. Isn't that fattening?
Well, we put in a lot of oil to marinate the beef. But within a very short time, it won't absorb the oil. When it is almost cooked, we drain out all of the oil. So the final dishes in Cantonese cuisine normally contain only a very small amount of oil, as you can see here.
That's actually absolutely correct. That's a misconception for American people to think that, or anybody to think that Chinese food is fattening. It's not true. So I understand that Cantonese cuisine cares a lot about nutritious value.
Cantonese people, as well as people all over the world, consider beef very nutritious. It is good for the body's recovery and for increasing strength. It is especially good for women because it contains much iron. Also for athletes, beef is the best choice. Strength can be recovered very quickly.
So it's really good for women like me and also good for people who love to work out. That's interesting to know. And on top of that, Cantonese cuisine plays a lot of attention to textures and flavor, usually lighter than any other Chinese cuisine. And right now, why don't we get back to the kitchen and check out Chef Ben. Now let's get started.
What we're making is a puree. This is the fermented black beans, as they are naturally. I added them to a pot with some water. I brought it up to a boil and just let it sit. It'll take a little bit of the salt out of the beans. It's a very strong flavor. I've taken some of the beans out of the water. We're gonna put the beans in a blender with a little bit of soy sauce, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of rice wine vinegar, and a little bit of egg whites.
What is the reason you add egg white?
You'll see. Another ingredient that we have is gelatin sheets. Okay, this is gelatin. After the gelatin sheets have been soaked for 10 minutes, we just warm it up very slightly and the gelatin melts. Okay, and then we're gonna add the gelatin to the blender as well. That's gonna puree very smooth in the blender. And it's gonna be a crust for our fish. Okay, after we've put that puree in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes, we're gonna take it out. Now the reason we have the gelatin is the gelatin, when it's cold, will make the liquid a solid. And the egg white is for when we cook it, because what happens is the gelatin, when it gets hot, it melts. The egg white will become solid when it cooks.
I see.
We're gonna take our piece of fish. This is grouper.
So what is happening now, Chef Ben?
What you do, I believe in China, is you would take your bamboo steamer, which fits over your wok of boiling water, and then the steam comes rising through the steamer.
Exactly.
And so we have a very high-tech steamer. So right now the fish is cooking in the steamer. This is kind of a medium thick fillet, so it's going to take about 5.5 minutes. Now we're going to make the sauce. This is a combination of the Chinese and the Mediterranean flavors. We're going to make a soy vinaigrette. So we're going to take some soy sauce and some extra virgin olive oil. We're going to add a little touch of fresh lime juice for the acidity, and we're going to add a little bit of honey. This is going to give it a little bit of sweetness, and it's actually going to help emulsify the dressing together as well.
Oh, it's like there's physics behind it.
We're going to add some bell pepper to the vinaigrette. Okay, and that's our finished sauce for the plate. The temperature of the pan has to be right for the size of the ingredient that you're cooking. If the ingredient is cut small or thin like this, it can be on higher heat. But if it's larger, it generally needs to be on lower heat because otherwise it's going to burn before it's cooked. Then we've got the red onion, ginger, and we're going to add our scallions. And then what I've got here, just for a little freshness, is some fresh cilantro, sliced very thin. And that's our vegetables. We're going to remove the fish from the tray and just put it onto a paper towel just to absorb some of the excess moisture. We're going to take our soy vinaigrette with the peppers. And we've taken the green part of the scallion and sliced it thin and crisped it up in a little bit of ice water, which makes it curly. And that's our finished dish.
Welcome back, everyone. Chef Ben, I really love the presentation. It's amazing.
Thank you.
What do you think?
I'm very happy with it.
Are you confident?
I think so.
In the meantime, let's learn about how Chef Blue cooked his dish. How did you make your version?
The most important part of this dish is one's skill with the knife. We clean it up and then fillet it. Then you slice the fillet like this, so it is easier to cook, looks good, and is tasty. Heat the oil between 150 degrees Celsius to 180 degrees Celsius, and then add the fillet. Cook for about 40 seconds. Then remove the fillet from the wok and place it in the sauce and mix well. Then dish it out when it's well done, because the fillet must be well done. In a restaurant, you have to know where the guests are sitting. If they sit quite far from the kitchen, then you can't cook it too much, otherwise it will be overcooked by the time it reaches the table. So when cooking fish fillet, you have to pay attention to time. You have to try and practice to know the timing. The fish tastes light, while the black bean is rich. You achieve both tastes when combining them together.
Now, why don't we try out the dishes? I love it.
Thank you.
It's really refreshing. At the same time, it's very savory on the soybean part. What do you think?
Chinese cooking this fish usually is not like this way. This recipe is somehow a little special. This fish with fermented black beans is prepared in a special way. It uses black beans to make the dish look like the symbol of yin and yang. The part underneath is white, to go with the black beans above.
Okay. I totally agree. How do you feel about this? I mean, I feel fantastic about this. Do you want to even use this recipe in your menu?
I might actually serve it here in the restaurant. I think it's a good dish. I liked both of the dishes that Chef Lu made. I think what we've got here is a combination of the Chinese ingredients and some of the technique adapted with a little bit of Mediterranean style and flavor. So I like it a lot.
That's really awesome, really good. So what else do you find interesting in this dish? Which is very different than your Chinese dish, right?
The most special part of this dish is the fish fillet is light and the black bean is quite strong. So when eating them together, you have two different kinds of taste. Because people in different regions have different tastes, you can't say that our way of cooking is better than others. They all have different customs. So we come here and sometimes have to adjust a little bit to suit people's tastes.
Well, thank you very much. I really had an enjoyable time learning how you cook the traditional cuisines, because for me, what I take from this is how you have the combination of flavors come together. What I enjoyed doing was taking the individual elements and making them stand out on their own different ways on the plate. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It has been a great journey rediscovering traditional Cantonese dishes, at the same time having a new complete dish. And it is also Cantonese New American. In the beginning, I mentioned the concept of harmony is an important standard in traditional Chinese culinary art. So my question to you guys is that how do you balance out your personal life and professional life?
Well, you know we work long hours as chefs, and that's okay. We're used to it. It's part of this business. But I have to make sure that I have a certain amount of time every day for myself to go exercise, and a little bit of time in the mornings for my wife and my children as well.
That's really good. And what about you, Chef Liu?
When I have pressures from work, I relax myself by reading books or watching TV. I like cooking shows very much. I have a wonderful wife at home. She looks after everything well, so I have no worries at home. My son also helps with the housework and does his duties well.
That's fantastic. I'm so happy to have both of you here today. Thank you so much to be here today. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.